Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is Mixtress Ray, and you're watching Mixtress Video. It's time for another full moon pick a card reading. So here are your three piles to choose from. You can choose based on which deck you're most drawn to. This one's Modern Witch, this one is Wild Unknown, and this one is Marigold Tarot. Or you can choose based on the stones. This is a beautiful piece of hypersthene. Hard to get it to catch the light because most of the light is coming from over there. And this is Fire Agate, and this is Rainbow Pyrite. Pyrite? Is that right? I think so. So today, oh, I forgot to pick, that's funny. I forgot to pick the animal spirit card for each stack. So apparently that just means we're going to have to pick the animal spirit last while we're in the spread itself. So obviously that's what that means because I just didn't do it. It's still just sitting right there. I didn't pick the animal spirit card. I was planning to do that last. First of all, I have my little fan on in my room today. Please let me know if the sound is too disruptive. I think it's pretty quiet. It definitely keeps me cooler in this room during the summer because there's no air in here. But if it does bother you, let me know and I will try to keep it off in the future. But I decided to have an experiment today because I always turn this fan off whenever I film, and I thought, you know what? How do I know if it's going to bother people? If I get to be cooler and it doesn't bother people, let's do it, right? Okay, so this is for, this reading is for anytime you find it, but it will be especially powerful if you see it in the beginning of June 2020. It is, I am doing it on the full moon, so it's actually not going to be posted until after the full moon, but that energy will still be in effect. So we're talking about the full moon in Sagittarius, June 5th, 2020, which is also an eclipse moon. So I brought these two cards out from the Moonology Oracle deck. So the general idea of these readings is we're going to be taking a step back from the problems that we are intimately entrenched in. Not take a step back from the problems, but to zoom out a little bit further and look at them as if we have a little bit of time and space from them, even though we don't right now have that time and space, if that makes sense. So that we can find the solutions and the conclusions because they are within reach. We just have to get we have to get outside of its reach for a second to be able to see the solutions that are within the reach and come back to it, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do just a little bit of, I got this really cool little super polished, like it's very smooth selenite little baby. Like it looks like a tampon wand. My little selenite tampon wand. We're going to clear the space with it today. And there's a lot of space to clear, guys. The energy is intense right now, and it will likely remain so. We're headed into eclipse season, which means that things are going to be pretty intense, and the actions that we take now are going to affect us further on down the road. Like 6 months from now, something that we do during this eclipse season, and we're about to have 3 full moon eclipses in a row, and this is the first. The things that we do now are going to affect our future. So it is a good thing that we're having positive political change at this moment in time, because it's going to be a big deal. It's going to have not only the small step immediate impact that we're seeing at the moment, but it's going to have an even deeper, bigger impact 3 to 6 months down the road. Because the things that happen in eclipse season, it's like you don't necessarily see immediate results, but they pop up later. Or that's what I'm learning. I'm learning slowly about astrology, so some of this stuff I might not be fully grasping it, but that's what I can gather from what I'm learning so far. I'm still like, I know a lot about tarot, but not necessarily about astrology. So going to anoint this black protection candle, because we all need, you know, a lot of people are going to be going out and protesting and making demonstrations for the greater good right now, have been already, during a pandemic. So we want everybody to stay safe and be able to have their voices heard as well. So we're anointing this candle. I also should carve my little symbol of protection that I like to carve. So the black in this candle, in this spell candle, will symbolize not only protection, but also intense, deeply rooted magic that we all have the ability to enact. I just might as well. I'm using Black Phoenix Alchemy Labs Voodoo perfume right now because it's a very, like, it has a lot of notes in it that are used in ceremonial spaces, such as almond and myrrh and other things. I don't remember all of them, but it's a good scent. Look it up. Okay. Let's do some Palo Santo. Oh, I forgot to get out incense too. I'm totally unprepared, as you can see. I'm gonna burn, I have some really super subtle incense. It just came in a Goddess Provisions box, which I'm so happy I resubscribed to. I've been without it for several months. And it's just such a joy to receive like a tiny box of witchy goodies once a month. I highly recommend that kind of thing if you're into it. Okay, our intentions: to stay safe while we seize this incredible opportunity in our history to dismantle the entrenched systems of oppression in our society. I mean, obviously the biggest thing that we are all focusing on right now is breaking down racism, but we got a lot of other shit to break down as well. So we might as well just throw in all the systemic structures of oppression in our society in all forms. We need to break that system down, and we have numbers on our side. And it's just very important that we keep this in the forefront of our minds and do the best that we can making those changes for ourselves and for our collective, you know? So, lighting with the intention of change, of love, of compassion for everyone, even though sometimes there are some awful conversations we're going to have with our friends and family, but being able to approach people in a way that they can understand, even when they are not forward thinking, because the only way that their minds are going to be changed at all is if they're approached with kindness. And I'm obviously not talking about, like, some people, kindness is not going to work. You know, you have to know when to be safe and when it's okay to have the conversation with a person, and what kind of conversation you can have with that person, if that makes sense. Okay, so hopefully my babbling has given y'all some time to choose which pile. Oh, I want to start. Okay. I've been thinking about, like, what can I do to be a better ally as a white person that doesn't firsthand understand all of the issues that people of color have in our society. I can understand them intellectually, of course, but I'm never going to really know what it feels like. So I've been trying to think of ways that I can be better in my day-to-day life. And one of the things that I realized would be an easy thing for me to do, and also necessary, is I am no longer going to use tarot or oracle decks in my YouTube videos or my Etsy readings for clients that are not diverse decks. In the past, you know, it's always been in my mind that I want to have diverse decks in my collection. I went through all my decks yesterday, and unfortunately I have several oracle decks that only have white people in them. But of my tarot decks, I only have, I think I counted 4 that only had white people in them, which still, 4 is too many. But I decided that the only exception to that is I will probably still use the Rider-Waite-Smith sometimes for 2 reasons. One, I think Pamela Coleman Smith's art, her creation of that art was so revolutionary in the tarot world that is a deck that it has created a lot of the meanings that we have surrounding tarot, so it does deserve some respect. And the second reason is because she actually, when Pamela Coleman Smith created that deck, I mean, it's obvious that she was drawing, it's pretty obvious by the structure of their faces that she was drawing white people. However, she did not color the deck herself. It has been colored by the people. It has been, the color was added to it by the people that put it out. So it's possible that she was intending for it to be a more diverse deck. So I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. That is the one exception of a deck that I might continue to use in client readings and on the YouTube channel that is only white people, but I don't feel comfortable doing that beyond that. So I'm no longer going to buy decks that aren't diverse, and I'm no longer going to use them in my YouTube or my Etsy readings. I do have, like I said, I have like 3 or 4 tarot decks in my collection that are only white people depicted in them. And at least, I think I have 4, and 3 of them are decks that I really like. So I will probably continue to use them for myself. But just going forward, I just don't think it's nice to put things out there that I always want to make sure that whenever I'm doing personal readings for clients, that they can see themselves in the cards. So just making a vow that even if I'm reading for a white person, I still don't use decks that don't have other races represented, I think is something that is important for me to do. So that is my vow going forward of one thing that I can do. Let's get started. So let's go with pile 1. Oh crap. Y'all, pile 2 people, if you're watching at the moment. Or pile 3 people. Your cards just jumped on the floor. So we'll remember that. Your cards really have something to say. They do not want to go last. Okay, sorry Marigold. Sorry pile 3 people, but we are going to have to start with numerical pile 1, right? Okay. Alright, I'm going to stand up for this part so I can... Oh, I'm going to put these in the order that I actually pulled them. Because they got out of order, but I remember. So, for each deck, the only thing that's different, for each pile, the only thing that's different is the tarot deck. Each deck will have an animal spirit card, which I will pull at the end. It will have a goddess oracle card. It will have an Amenti oracle card, a mystical shaman, and everyday witch. I was going to show you guys these cards. So your Amenti, so this is kind of your like moral center for the month. Or not the entire month of June, but because we do have another full moon at the end of June. But for this full moon cycle, I keep the waters pure. And this will be your goddess, Ishel, creativity. Your mystical shaman card is lightning. And your everyday witch. So usually I use the everyday witch oracle as sort of like some practical advice for the coming cycle. Listening to wisdom. This is my favorite card in this deck. I just think it's so beautiful. Okay, and then I will go ahead and pull your animal spirit. Okay, it's obviously one of those. Oh, Bat just wanted to make a little appearance. Okay, so you got lizard. All right, where am I going to put all these cards? The eternal struggle of where to put the cards. Kind of like to have the animal card grounded towards the bottom a little bit. So, okay, guys, what do we got for pile 1? Your full moon eclipse in Sagittarius reading. I also wanted to know, I usually use the Vintage Wisdom Oracle deck for all of my pick a card readings and all of my client readings, but that is an Oracle deck that only depicts white people. So I'm not using it anymore. And I decided that using the Goddess Oracle will be a good substitute, because one of the reasons why I like using the Vintage Wisdom Oracle is because it has very simple keywords. But the Goddess Oracle does as well. Most of the Goddess cards, you know, have a very simple keywords that makes it a good focus. So the keyword focus of the reading will now be depicted in my pick a card readings until I get a better like Oracle deck that serves that purpose. We're going to use Goddess Oracle for that purpose, if that makes sense. So kind of your keyword to focus on for this entire reading for this next full moon cycle is creativity. And you've also got 6 of Wands and 8 of Wands. You are moving forward right now. You are all enlightening. So really the only like lizard is also, you got a lot of fire. You got a lot of fire. And full moon in Sagittarius is also fire. You got a lot of fire going on, girl. And lightning. You know? Wow. Okay. So really, for you, I would say just keep doing what you're doing. You know, you're being victorious at the goals that you are trying to accomplish right now. They're happening swiftly, and you're going in the right direction. And the reason that I know you're going in the right direction is because the devil is here. The devil is here to say, hey, I kind of feel like you're not paying enough attention to me. This is kind of your inner self-saboteur saying like, hey, but you know, what if you fuck up though? Like, what if you fuck up though? And this is just kind of a reminder, don't listen to him. Don't listen to his bullshit. You don't need it. You don't need it at all. Listen to wisdom instead. Don't listen to this guy. Listen to wisdom. And remind yourself that you were on the right track. You've got a burst of, it could even be, lightning could even be kind of a tower moment for you. It's possible that you had kind of a negative or traumatic experience relatively recently that your way of coping with it is to reignite your creative spark in whatever way that works for you. So, and then this being kind of as a future card for you, if you are kind of hoping for romance, the Knight of Cups is queen or king or any gender in between romance. You know, it's like the Knight of Cups is going to sweep you off your feet. And it's possible it's even like your creative endeavors that you're going to fall more in love with. It might not even be an actual person. But if you think that that makes sense for you or you've been looking for that, it's going to come. It's just not here yet. Or this person is already in your life and this person can actually help you. Like these two things are already happening, but these two things are choices. You can either choose the path of love or you can choose the path of self-sabotage. You have the choice. We always have the choice to choose between love and fear. I mean, it may sound very cliche because you've heard it a million times. Marianne Williamson bullshit, but it's true. We can always choose between love and fear. And you're going to be presented with that choice sometime in this next cycle. I want to read a little bit about, I like to pull out the actual guidebook for animal spirit. Lizard, instinctual, sensitive to the subtle, dreamer. The lizard is an expert in the realm of sensory perception. So is the Knight of Cups, actually. As if it has a sixth sense, the lizard hears what is yet to be spoken and sees what is yet to manifest. Although this is an amazing gift, it can easily wear the lizard down. Big crowds, lots of travel, or overstimulation will drain a lizard of their magical essence. This card is an indication to pull back from the bright lights and big city. Return to the inner artist who's been whispering your name. That really makes sense for you, too. When in balance, the lizard is artistic, telepathic, and spiritual. When out of balance, elusive, non-committal, and flaky. And to bring your lizard self, your creative, telepathic, beautiful, dreamer, lizard self back into balance, you need a creative project. How perfect is that? You got wands, you got creativity. How perfect is that? So this is just reinforcing, if you're already on the path of rediscovering your creativity and whatever that means for you, and I suspect most of you are already on that path, keep going. Don't listen to this guy. Don't listen to that voice inside your head that says that you're not doing it right. Because authenticity to who you are and how you want to do the things that you do is the most important thing. And that's kind of keeping the waters pure. Keeping the waters pure means being authentic, being true to yourself, being true to others, doing everything with love. And you've got the choice. You know, you're going to be presented with many opportunities in the next month to either tear yourself down for what you're doing or keep going forward in love. Be in love with what you're doing. Find your path. Keep your waters pure. You're going to create magical things if you allow yourself to, and this is also a warning to not let yourself get overstimulated. So when you get in those moments where you're like, someone is overwhelming you, someone's not respecting your boundaries, set those boundaries deeper. Say them out loud. Allow yourself that time to step back and be in the space that helps you be the most creative. Whether that for you is being completely alone, or whether that means you're doing projects with other people, whatever way works for you, allow yourself to do it that way. Don't let people tell you you're doing it wrong. And listening to wisdom is also a card of kind of taking a moment. You really have to quiet yourself and quiet your environment to hear the muse speaking in your ear, to hear that wisdom. So I would say that's the only warning, is that things are going pretty fast for you right now. We got Lightning and Eight of Wands here. Things are going pretty fast for you, and there's a lot of goodness in that. You're getting recognition for some of the things that you're doing right now. But remember also that in order to stay your true telepathic, beautiful lizard self, you're going to have to stay authentic. You're going to have to take a step back every once in a while from the overstimulating environment and quiet yourself through meditation or whatever way helps you quiet your mind enough to hear your inner voice. You need to hear the good inner voice, not the bad one. This is like the angel, this is the devil, you know. Listen to this one, not this one, okay? It's a pretty clear message to me. I think you're on a good path, but it always takes effort to stay on the good path. And it's okay if you stray, just get back on it, girl. Okay, pile 2 with the Wild Unknown Tarot. Trying to decide, because I did pull these in a certain order, but I don't think the order matters. In fact, I think I'm going to just mix them up without looking at them. Because I don't think that order is necessarily right, but I don't think the order that I pulled the cards is necessarily right either. So let's just do this. Okay, that's already making more sense. That's already doing it. Okay. So you're a Minty Oracle card for this moon cycle. Sort of your moral compass to kind of keep you coming back. I relate in peace. Your goddess, and also the key word to kind of focus on for the whole reading: centering and Terra. Your mystical shaman card is Eagle. And your everyday witch, I like to think of this as kind of this is the oracle deck that I use for sort of like practical advice. So your practical advice for this coming cycle is to ground and center. That's kind of perfect, right? Because we got centering with Terra, ground and center right here. Gorgeous card too, by the way. Where should I put it? Let's actually put it over here. Does that work? Yeah. Okay, and then I also need to pull an animal spirit card. Sort of the thing that's going to ground you, the animal spirit. Sort of this is going to be kind of like the entity that you encounter in real life throughout this cycle. Scorpion. Okay, I'm right off the bat, I'm getting a real like revolutionary vibe from you. I want this to be here. I don't have enough room. I just don't. Okay. I don't really need these cards to be super duper visible. You guys get the idea. Right? Okay, so we are going to put your scorpion up there. I'm getting a real revolutionary, real Rage Against the Machine vibe from you guys, which is totally cool. You are ready to upset the structures in our society, and you are a much needed voice right now. Sorry. I'm moving things around and then I'm moving them back and hokey pokey. Yes. Let's just move this whole setup down a little bit just so we can see it all better. I'll have to light a second incense because these incenses burn pretty fast. Okay, I'm getting a real revolutionary vibe from you guys. You ready to overthrow the system? You've been taking steps toward that. You've been narrowing your focus on how you're going to do that. And Daughter of Pentacles tells me you're starting that. You may be a person that started to go to protests or get more politically involved or even just broach the subject with your family, because that's a beginning too. You want to feel, I mean, I can't help but think when I see an eagle, I can't help but think about, you know, America. You want to be able to genuinely have pride in your country again. And for some of you, that is something that you used to have, but now you don't. And for others of you, you've never really had it, but you're very heartened to see the people that are willing to stand beside you and shake up the system with you. The only warning I see is because we have centering with Terra and this ground and center right here, there's going to be a certain level because there's going to be a lot of emotions involved. Ten of Cups is like the family, community, oneness card. So this is a very good thing. But there's going to be a little bit of, okay, take a deep breath. Remember to relate in peace, because you're going to be able to make a bigger difference with gentleness. And I realize I'm not trying to like be against the riots or anything by saying that. That's not what I mean. Because those are essential right now. It's making political change happen. And it has in the past and it will again. But there are going to be some opportunities where you're going to have to take a deep breath and take a step back again, look at that bigger picture and be like, okay, is this, because every time we have the opportunity to relate to another human being, we have a choice on how to do it. And if we're doing it from a place of community and love, recognizing that that person, no matter how backwards they really seem to be, they are still a person in our community that can, most of the time, most people can see reason if they are approached in the right way. It's not always true, but sometimes it is. And you're going to be able to kind of serenity prayer that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? To recognize when you are relating to someone that you can get through to versus someone you can't. There are some people that need a gentle approach, and there are some people that need a more aggressive approach. It's not the same for each person. And knowing the difference is a difficult process, and sometimes we're going to get it wrong. Sometimes we're going to approach people in the wrong way. Sometimes they're going to misunderstand us. It can't be avoided, but we can try. You are really a leader in the movement right now. I really feel like you're a leader. This could even be you. You could be a person that really has the opportunity to change all of our minds about what America is supposed to be, because it was built on a lot of shitty ideals. But we can reform it. It is up to us in the community to reform the way that the structure exists. And we can do it. And we're starting to do it. We're starting to narrow that focus right there. We're narrowing it, bitch. Solutions are within reach, but we do have to make sure that we center ourselves, make sure we take a step back every once in a while and assess where we are, how far we've come, what else can we do, how does this particular situation that we're faced with at this exact moment, with these exact people, how can we do the best that we can do right now in that scenario? That's really the only advice that I see for you, is that there are going to be times when you're just so angry at the way that things are that you're not going to choose peace in that moment. And that's okay. But there are times when you're going to be able to choose peace, and it's going to be a good idea to do so, if that makes sense. I do like to read from the animal spirit, Scorpion, because it's usually pretty good. So we got fire with the Scorpion. Found the other one immediately. There we go. Passionate, competitive, and tends toward isolation. Scorpion is a passionate and determined creature. Their career is very important to them, as are a few select friends. Sometimes the Scorpion's heat festers, and they focus on an unresolved event from the past, usually a situation where they were left feeling burned. The Scorpion card says it's time to come clean about your feelings so everyone can heal and you can get back to your usual fiery but fun self. When in balance, the Scorpion is wild and free and fierce. When out of balance, the Scorpion is jealous, resentful, and unresolved. To bring your beautiful, passionate, competitive Scorpion self back into balance, honesty and forgiveness. So, sometimes a person doesn't deserve to be forgiven. I get that. But if you are holding on to anger and resentment that is hurting you more than it's helping you, you're going to have to let go of it. And again, it's knowing which. There are times when it makes sense to hold on to resentment, because if it keeps you from putting yourself back in an abusive situation with someone, then it's good to stay poised against them with your stinger. But if it's only causing you pain and they don't fucking know the difference, then let it go. You're going to know when it's time. Either way, Tara's got your back, and that's one of the most beautiful, loving energies that could ever. She's kind of like the Temperance card, you know? So you have a beautiful opportunity with this Peace card and this Centering card and this Centering card to really balance some things out for yourself in this particular moon cycle. let yourself be calmed when it's necessary to be calmed. You don't have to let go of the anger that you have within you that's righteous, but some of it, you could have let go of it a long time ago. You're going to know the difference. So keep your fiery passion alive for the things that matter. Again, that serenity prayer shit. I don't know the actual wording of the serenity prayer, but it's like, you know what? My computer's actually on right now. I could actually just look it up. I could just look it up for you guys right now. And you don't have to take this in a religious sense. Just grant us the serenity to accept that which cannot be changed, the courage to change what can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That is for you guys this month. Keep doing the awesome, righteous, beautiful changes that you are making in the world. But pick your battles wisely. Okay, time for pile 3. And yours are the ones that just like jumped everywhere. Okay. Okay. I don't usually do reversals, but because your cards jumped on the floor and one of them did end up reversed, I'm going to respect that. We got some Libra shit going on here with the Justice card and the Queen of Swords. We've got 8 of Rings and 6 of Swords. A lot of sword action. A lot of sword action. And then your Oracle cards. The Amenti Oracle is going to kind of be your moral compass for this cycle. I do the best I can. Your Goddess Oracle not only is going to be your goddess, kind of like your higher self, how it's going to manifest this coming cycle, but it's also going to be the key word to focus on for your entire reading. Vila, just shape-shifting. Your Mystical Shaman card is the Council. I want to get a good focus here. Your Everyday Witch Oracle card is kind of the practical advice for this cycle for you. Go with the flow. And then we're going to pull Animal Spirit as well. And because you got the shape-shifting card, I think that means we need to pay special attention to your Animal Spirit card. Decide if it wants to be that one or not. It wants to be... Oh, no, that's too many cards. Okay, I'm pulling 2 for you. Since you're a shapeshifter, you get 2 Animal Spirit cards. Dolphin and Buffalo. Earth and Water. Okay, so right away I can see that you are a person that has a pretty set sense of authenticity, of structure in your life, of truth. You have a very clear sense of what you think is right. But this coming cycle, you're going to have to be a little bit more flexible on that. And the reason that I say that is because you got this go with the flow. You got a dolphin. You got the Queen of Swords upside down. And you got the shape shifting. And the I do the best I can. Sometimes you're going to have to remind yourself, because there's a certain level of guilt that justice people have. And I know from which I speak, because I am a Libra sun, Libra rising, Libra in like several of my other planets as well. I'm just like fucking Libra, 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 Libra. So there's a certain level of like very clear-cut balance that needs to happen for me to be okay. I think that justice should always be served, you know? I think that things should be fair. But it's a good reminder to see that we're all moving forward with our own level of swords in our back, you know, our own level of things that we've dealt with in our past. And it's a good reminder to try to, this is something that I do in my daily life. I try to believe, even though sometimes it's false, I try to believe that everyone is doing the best that they can. And sometimes you have to remind yourself of that too, that you may not feel like you're doing everything that you can to be a perfect citizen of the earth right now, but you may not, because of some shit that you've gone through recently, you may not have all of the resources that you think you should have in order to there's just a certain level of, you're going to have to accept where you are, wherever that is. And you might be in a space right now where you're more low energy than you'd like to be. You may be in a space right now where you can't be that level of your moral center is very defined, but it's okay sometimes to accept where you are and realize that you're doing the best that you can. And sometimes, and it looks different, you know, the best that you can is different from the best that someone else can. And the best that you can today is different from the best that you can a week from today. So you have to recognize where you are and go with that flow and take everything day to day right now, because change is slow. The buffalo is slow, bitch. Change takes time. Justice takes time. And the Queen of Swords upside down tells me that you have had a moment, probably within the last 3 to 6 months, where you really cut a lot of things out of your life. You really set some boundaries for yourself. And you're sort of still in that energy where you think that you need to continue cutting. You need to continue enacting all of that justice. But again, take a step back. This full moon in Sagittarius eclipse is about taking a step back and realizing and looking at the bigger picture. So going with the flow, shape shifting. You might have to, even though that Queen of Swords has been really good to you, it might be time to leave her behind for now, because she's ascending. The Queen of Swords is kind of like, she's a real badass, but but justice is a step up from the Queen of Swords. You know, they're kind of the same person, just at different points in their journey. And you've been working really hard. You've been working really hard. So my advice through this next cycle is accept the counsel of others. There's somebody in your life, it might just be me right now, but besides me, most likely, there's somebody in your life that's saying to you, take a break, bitch. Seriously, you've been working so hard. I promise you're a good person. You're still a good person if you take a day off. You're still a good person if you spend a day sitting in a canoe drinking a beer and let yourself believe that you're doing the best you can, even when some days the best you can is just to breathe throughout the entire day, from morning till night. You stayed alive today. And sometimes that's the best you can, and other days the best you can is moving fucking mountains. But you have to be willing to allow yourself that ebb and flow. And that's the advice that I have for you. You've done some great work on setting boundaries for yourself. And that time, it's not like that time has passed. Like, we always have to work to maintain our boundaries. And justice is still a part of your life. You know, these two things are very much a similar theme. And even just looking at it like, you know, shape-shifting and going with the flow. Some days you're going to be really queen of Libra, justice, beauty, and other days you're going to be like, I can't today, man. I can't. I got to sit in a canoe today. I'm sorry. And you've got to accept that it doesn't make you a bad person if some days you really have to choose. There's a certain adaptability that it's time to accept in your life, I think. That's what the shape-shifting is all about. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know I haven't had a video since the last full moon reading, which is kind of sad, but that's just the way it's worked this month. If you are interested, the link to my Patreon is always in the description notes. And I do have I have a more personalized full moon reading that I do every month for my patrons. So that is an option if you want to make sure that you get all the content from me that you can. Those links are always below. I hope that you have a great moon cycle. Take a deep breath. Take a step back. It's going to be difficult. The energy is going to be intense, but we're going to make it.